And want to say good evening here. We have a special Coast to Coast podcast tonight, episode 101. I am one of your co hosts here, Beyond 716. You probably recognize me. And tonight, we usually have Whittle here, of course, our cleanup hitter, our power hitter, the guy in the middle of the lineup, as you want to give a baseball analogy. Unfortunately, Whittle will not be able to make it tonight to discuss goings of the Buffalo Bills. So we have a lot to talk about. We are lack stop into the season. It is August 6th. We're going to start our show today. We're going to talk about Hard Knocks, of course. We're going to get into our reactions of that. We're also going to get into injuries. We're going to talk into that. We'll go into the James Cook drama. And we'll go into some Braylon Spector news and some other news as well. But without Whittle tonight, we know it's going to be impossible for me to do this alone. But alas, our network is great. We have great people out there that we've gotten to know on Twitter. And we are definitely having a heavy hitter come on tonight. And this gentleman has been on our pod before. If you have been a part of Twitter Spaces, you know him. He is a football savant in my eyes. He knows a tremendous amount about the Buffalo Bills and football in general. He brings a lot to the table, and I'm very excited to bring him back here. And I'm going to add Jarek on stage. How are you tonight?
What's going on? What's going on? Happy to be on. Happy to be on here.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming on at such short notice as well. I know, having our man, the myth, the legend, Whittle, it's always a little tough not having him here,
Yeah,
but
I know.
we can do. And thank you for coming in. You're always someone that I have really respected your opinions on Twitter for a very long time, and always love talking ball with you. And so I'm really excited to have you on tonight. So, want to start us off by let's get right into it and let's talk about Hard Knocks. Obviously, for the city of Buffalo, this is not the norm. Hard Knocks has been on since 2001. This is our first iteration of this for us 24 years later here at the Buffalo Bills front and center. Can you believe it? Right. And it was kind of funny at first. I wasn't that excited about it. It's like, but then once you heard that HBO, that little where the screen comes on, that is real. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, I mean, for me, it was pretty exciting, but we'll break it down in little segments. But overall, what was your takeaway or feeling when Hard Knocks made its debut?
Well, believe it or not, I fell asleep literally within the first 2 minutes. So I mean, when I saw the intro and I heard that music, I was passed out. But no, I watched a little bit of the clips. It's awesome, man. Like it's awesome. Like a lot of you guys that are going to be watching. I know you Beyond. I mean, for the most part, you grew up, with the '90s with Jim Kelly. Like the Bills were pretty much premier must-see TV. The K-Gun offense, Marv Levy, Bruce Smith. I mean, that was the era where even though the Bills were losing 4 straight Super Bowls, that was undoubtedly the talk of the town. I grew up with poverty. Like I grew up literally
with
the Buffalo Bills, and so I always dreamed of being on Sunday Night Football and having these top premier games and playing on Thanksgiving and Christmas and being on Hard Knocks. I never in a million years I never thought that we would be at this point where we're on Hard Knocks, because most football teams that are on Hard Knocks, they have like a lot of drama going on. Like HBO knows what they're doing. They know they want premier television, entertaining news, and so like McDermott and Hard Knocks and Brandon Beane, like that just doesn't make any sense for us, even though we're winning. And so for us to finally be on there, I mean, it's a gift and in some ways a curse, because now a lot of teams that go on Hard Knocks, believe it or not, have for some reason all those teams have suffered significant injuries, and we are a team that can't afford to do that. But no, man, like it's exciting. It's extremely exciting for us to be on premier television, for people to actually, even though it's not in the city of Buffalo, at least to at least it puts Rochester on the map. Like Rochester really needs this, especially St. John Fisher. Like it's this it really needs it. So I'm happy. So I'm happy. I'm overall happy for Bills Mafia, Bills fans, and just kind of the local area communities that have been supporting the Buffalo Bills for a long time. I'm really happy, excited for it.
Absolutely. And it's funny, just to give you an idea of what my name Beyond 716 means, I was doing a podcast I was going to dedicate to Buffalo sports outside the fans outside the 716 area code. And you mentioned it, how this is in Rochester. and this is really about Western New York is it's all encompassing of Rochester, Syracuse, and
Mhm.
Buffalo. You're from the region. My dad lived there. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with it, but it's really about everything there. I want to give a shout out to Petey there. So what's up, Petey? Always good to see you here, man.
PD.
Yeah, Petey's our guy. Jets fan, great guy. Does a great Jets commute on Twitter, by the way. You guys got to give him a follow on PD Pablo. Definitely, he's definitely worth it. One of those, even though he's a rival, he's our guy. So he's always in our corner. So, but it was really about all of us, right? And it puts a great light, like you said, on Rochester and the St. John's Fisher place, which has an intimate feel, right? It's not like certain training camps. Like I've been to Irvine out here in California for the Chargers and the Rams, and it's bigger. Cal State Irvine is a big university where the Cowboys train in Oxnard. That's a pretty interesting place, by the way. It's almost like a cowboy type feel. It's almost like a ranch type feel. It's kind of cool. They practice here for about a week and then they go back to Texas. But this Buffalo has that intimate feel. I think that's how they really uh portrayed Buffalo, right? In the sense of how it started out. They're going into their dorm room. It's almost like you're going into like college again, right? You're going into your
Right.
dorm room and here are these guys making 50, some of them making 40, 30, $20 million. Like Josh Allen's an international icon at this point, and he's loving the fact that he's going to be sitting in a very, sleeping in a very basic room. He loves it. So that's what I love about it the most.
Nah, man. I mean, you got $300 million, and you're just well. First of all, I'm just gonna say this: that room is, that better be the most comfortable. Like, I didn't see it, but that better be he better be living lavish like a king in that room, man. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
it can get very, very hot in those dorms, man. No air conditioning. I mean, of course, they're gonna, obviously make it work. But I know for a lot of
Yep.
the media guys that are in there,
Hmm.
I know Mookie. I know, everyone knows Mookie. Mookie,
Yep.
he's in those dorms. He's got to bring his own fan. There's no air AC for him. So for the media guys, it's hell when you're staying in those dorms. For players,
It
you
is.
probably got everything you want. You probably got everything your basic amenities. But man, that's for reporters and
Absolutely.
everything like that. Yeah, it's probably gonna be hell on earth for those guys. But no,
Hey,
it's
let's give a shout out to our guy Mookie. By the way, he got a little appearance on there. Did you see that? Did you get that
yeah.
little glimpse of
I heard
Mookie?
about
That was
that one.
great.
Yeah.
Yep, that was awesome. So I was really happy for him that he's been at it for a long time. So I'm glad he got some coverage on that. So I'm sure that was pretty awesome. So yeah, I thought the whole series, it's about what I expected from Buffalo, to be honest with you. I know some say now we didn't get a lot of drama, but that's who the Bills are,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not a drama team. I mean, we have a lot of great personalities on this team, that I think are going to come out. I mean, for me, Trey White was great. I love the Trey White segment. Just seeing him there for me, Jarek, I don't know for you. It's just so good to have him back, isn't it? It's just
Right.
so great to have. Yeah, as they call him Uncle Trey, and I love that spot with Dion's kids, and then he's running the hills, the extra hills. That the work he puts in, right? How much he wants it, right? And then also the way that the players are with the community. It's special in Buffalo. It's been like this for a long time. This has been our secret, right? It's become a national, right? But this is the way it's been for Buffalo for quite a while, right? There's always been that special connection,
Mhm.
even in the drought years. You said you grew up in those times. Some of those players are still very highly regarded. Stevie Johnson's, Fred Jackson's, right? Even though we didn't make the
Oh,
playoffs,
oh, yep.
those guys could sting walk into Buffalo. They're not paying for a lot. So hey,
Mm-hmm.
there's our overlay. So thank you. I think Matt was behind the scenes there. So as you could tell, Whittle usually does a lot of this. So no intro. So we went a little old school tonight on our podcast without our fearless leader. So anyway, don't mind the screen right now. So what was did you have like a best moment from this from yesterday? Is there one that really stuck out to you?
Well, right before I went to sleep, it was AJ Vanessa catching a 11-foot python. Like that was
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Mostly an Iowa kid that all of a sudden we find out that he's Crocodile Dundee. Like that's just absolutely that's really, really nice. But no, I mean, you talked about Trey White before, man. Yeah, Trey White is a stable part in our community.
Hmm.
He's someone that, for the most part, he's literally, I mean, all over the city of Buffalo. Him and Dion Dawkins, really. I mean, these are guys,
Oh,
you know,
fantastic. Yeah.
these are guys that are heavily involved in the communities all over the place, whether if it's North Buffalo, you go to the east side, west side, South Buffalo, it doesn't really matter. These guys are always heavily involved in the community.
Hmm.
Yeah, Trey White, man, just to see him you're watching him play with some of the kids, and you're watching. I mean, Trey is Trey, man. Like Trey is a very, very fun guy, and to see, a player that was here from the very start of this thing in 2017 to now all of a sudden being back, and now all of a sudden you see that he's a much more mature version. In a way, it's kind of Unk. Like
Yeah,
he's kind of Unk,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
but he's kind of the Unk of the Buffalo Bills now compared to when he was the young guy. But under
Hmm.
Lorenzo Alexander's tutelage. But no, man, it's fun. Like I got to get back into it. Hopefully, I got to I'm gonna do a much better job staying up. But no, man, just watching
Yeah.
Joe, watching some of those players. I think KJ Hamler came in with with an electric stool or something like that. He was just riding around.
Then he had the pregnant woman's pillow, which I thought was classic. So
I'm
I
like,
thought that
okay.
was pretty
I'm
funny too.
like, okay. I'm like, all right, I see what's going on, man. But no, man,
Yeah. That was,
it's nice, man. Just seeing it's really more of what these players are going to be doing during camp, and I'm excited. The
mhm.
players visiting. Like right now, I think this is going to be more of a spoiler, but these guys, visited like certain, they visited, I think, like a place like a Waffle House or something like that as a team unit. So
Nice.
that's going to be very, very
Nice.
fun to see, man, during the couple of days when you're off. So, no, man,
I'm looking
it's
forward to
really
this.
nice. Yeah, I'm looking really forward to it for sure.
Yep. And Steve, we have some great comments tonight. I'm going to come back to Michael's comment later on because we're going to get into James Cook. But Steve said this too. I was a bit surprised that Coleman was 99% invisible. I agree with that. I think they're saving him. Uh, how do you not
You
have
got it.
Keon Coleman involved with this?
Yeah.
You have to. He's just a good. Keon Coleman is the kind of guy, he just lights a room up when he comes into me, right? I feel like if you're at any party or any get together, he sits down, you want to sit next to Keon. You want to get his comments, and he's fantastic. So I'm sure they're gonna get him on for sure. And maybe with the rookies they ease them into. Oh, he's not a rookie anymore. What am I saying? He's a second year guy. So I was thinking more about Hairston. But
Got it.
but that was, and I like the spot with Christian Benford, praying over Harrison. I thought that was awesome. Just the
Mhm.
encouragement that they have for each other. Rookie coming in, and how Trey is with, because Trey knows he's competing with Harrison, but you see how he's supporting him and he knows his role. But it's amazing that you said that Trey is Unk, right? But he's still pretty young, right? Yeah, I saw something else today.
He's
Just as
30.
you want to hear something else wild that I saw today? I saw a graphic of the ages of all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Josh and Mahomes are ninth and 10th oldest in the league now.
That's crazy.
Wow. They're only
29.
29 years old. They're only 29, right? Isn't it crazy? Like, this has really become a young man's league. I mean, especially with the quarterbacks. All the great QBs we see with Stroud and all these other guys that are coming up. But wow, I mean, the fact that how fast did that go? Right? He's now the
Mhm.
ninth or 10th oldest quarterback in the league, but we still have plenty of years with Josh. So and I love all the Josh stuff. I figured he would be heavily involved early for sure, not surprising. But I thought, again, HBO's always done a great job with their Hard Knocks. I love the Lions one, and the Giants one was, just hope we don't have the drama that the Giants had in theirs last year with the whole Saquon madness. So,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I don't.
the Colts and
Yeah.
the Dolphins one with Vontae Davis getting traded. Like I knew the Chiefs with Larry Johnson staying in his. Well, it may happen because it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember Larry Johnson's at his house for about a week painting.
Hmm.
So he gets that until literally the
Yep.
final episode. He gets that negotiation. Let's not deal with that. Let's not deal with that drama.
Definitely not. What I would say, if there was a puzzling comment of the night for me, it stood alone. First of all, there's something else I wanted to take away. When McDermott was talking with Terry Pagula, I picked up on McDermott's voice. Seemed a little more nervous, right? A little slower to react. That just reaffirms when you're talking to the boss man, when you got the boss hanging over you and watching you like that, you're always a little bit nervous, right? You're just a little bit like, I got the billionaire behind me watching, right? Watching what's going on, right? He's like, okay, I got to be a little more on my toes on what I say here. But Pagula made a comment at the stadium that made us Saber fans roll our eyes when he said,
Oh
"When you've
God.
got people you trust working for you, you don't need to micromanage them." And I had this look like, "What did you just say, Terry?" So it's like,
Yeah.
maybe
Tell
look at
that
your
to the
hockey team a
20
little bit.
GMs that tell that to the 20 GMs that have been out of here, in and out of the building
Yeah.
like that quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Not to make it a Sabres podcast. We'll do that
Yeah.
later on. But that was the one comment that made my eyes roll. I was like, oh boy, Terry, you better say less. That's what I want from Terry. Say less going forward. Let the GM get in on the camera, and hopefully we'll get more of that. Joe Brady was surprisingly had an interesting That's a personality to him, I thought. I didn't expect. I figured Joe Brady's just a very, bland kind of guy. He was a little bit. He had a couple moments too, so that was pretty great.
He's young, man. Listen, he's like what
Mhm.
35, 36 years of age. He's got he's
Yeah.
got a lot of energy.
Yep.
LSU,
Yep.
he was wild at LSU. I'm just gonna say that he was. I mean, he's way more mature now. But when he was at LSU, was a pass game coordinator before he went to Carolina.
Oh,
Wild, wild stories, man.
nice.
Party, wild. We're talking. Uh, uh, what's the movie? The Van Holder, the Van Holder sort of that sort of stuff, man. But this man was just. I'm not gonna go in that much into it, but it's. I'm telling you, man. If you're interested to see the personality of Joe Brady, man, if you think he was just this
Hmm.
quiet bad guy, because McDermott, no, he is. He makes Lane Kiffin and Dabble Sweeney and Ed Orgeron look like children. I mean,
Ed Ogeron, one of my
he's
favorite coaches of all time. Yeah, wow. And Ed's got tremendous energy. That guy is just
tremendous. Nah, yeah, Joe's
yes, yeah. Wow. I'm surprised to hear that. I got to go take a look at that. So maybe hopefully, if when Joe Brady gets his head coaching opportunity, hopefully after he raises the Lombardi here in Western New York, and we will gladly
he's like Mike McDaniel.
congratulate him and send him on his way.
That's
Yeah.
his personality. His personality, he's more
Yeah.
like Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel than anything else.
Yeah. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, Mike McDaniel did win a Super Bowl. He was a pretty good coach for a long time. I think Dallas fans might be missing him a little bit more than they realize this year, but I digress. So we will, we'll go into that. But overall, I give it a great grade. I'm looking forward to next week. But now let's pivot to some on the field stuff, right? And there is a plenty going into this season. So why don't we get into? I'm going to pivot a little bit off of the original rundown. I want to get into this comment right here because we're going to get into this. So thank you, Michael, about the James Cook situation. So I figure let's go. I think this is probably one of the more pressing needs on this team right now in terms of him being out and strategically planning this at this time. It seems so. I want to get your initial reaction, how you feel where we are at this point in terms of that.
I think right now we're at a stalemate. I know there's
Mhm.
been some reports that it could be close. I think we're at a stalemate right now, to be honest with you. I think that we have probably moved up, and I think that may have some, that in terms of both sides, like that might have brought some sort of confidence that maybe this thing could get done a lot quicker. But I think James Cook holding out, I think that's more of that's a negotiation tactic. That's more of a saying, listen, I'm seeing bodies around me getting
Mhm.
hurt at camp.
Yep.
All these guys
Mhm.
are getting hurt. They have contracts. They have
Yep.
contracts. They got their long-term contracts. I don't. And so if I get hurt, that's just going to ruin. I mean, we're in the middle of negotiating. We're in the middle of negotiations. If I get hurt during during our negotiations, the Bills will have leverage. Brandon Beane's going to have leverage. I have zero leverage anymore. And so I truly do believe that James Cook and his team, because I'm not going to just say his agent, I think him and his team, they believe that James Cook should get, 13, 14, $15 million. Well, really, their number is $15 million. I think you can probably get that number down to like around 13 minimum. But obviously, I think what they really want is that 14, 15. But you can talk them into 13 if you can try to
Yep.
up the number of guarantees. I think that's what also hurts the Bills as well. Is you may lower that yearly number, but you're going to up that money of guaranteed money. So that's
Okay.
that's the thing that I think Brandon Beane is trying to really take a look at. Okay, what do we truly value James Cook in terms of a yearly and guaranteed sort of mark, right? And of course,
Mhm.
obviously, there's going to be some sort of stipulations that they're going to put within that contract so that it won't hurt the Buffalo Bills too much. I don't think
Mhm.
James Cook and his team they're not willing to go for that. They want to be paid Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and there's one more, Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey,
Christian McCaffrey. Mhm.
right? And it's like don't like even though like right now Derrick Henry, because he's like on a 2-year extension, that's the one that it's
Mhm.
not really going to hurt Baltimore that much. Philadelphia and the 49ers, that will hurt them in the long run, but they're going
Yeah.
for it, right? The 49ers believe that they're in a window right now. The Philadelphia Eagles obviously just came off of winning a Super Bowl and they have everything in place right now, so they're willing to go for that. The Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, every contract, every major contract that Brandon Beane has signed, pretty much his entire career, has been pretty much all these contracts have been spot on. It hasn't really hurt Buffalo all too much. Obviously, the Von Miller contract is the one that I don't think that was a great contract at all. Like that was the one contract where I'm scratching my head. I'm like, are we really giving a player that's about to be 34 years of age? We give him this much of a contract, even though he wasn't going to play for 6 years. It was more of a 3-year, 4-year contract. But it's like, do you really have that? I mean, did that much confidence that he could play in that high level? And this is like, I did not like that contract. But for the most part, Brandon Beane's contracts have been fair. It's been pretty fair. But for anyone that wants to argue that James Cook should get the 13, 14, or $15 million, we could go back to Stephon Diggs, because Stephon Diggs wasn't a top 10 receiver when we traded for him. We wanted him based off of the fact that we believed that he could take Josh Allen to the next level. We could get Josh Allen to that step where he is right now, which is an elite quarterback, which Stephon Diggs has done. But he wasn't a top 10 receiver when we brought him in. He was a top 15 guy. He was definitely one of the best number 2 receivers in the league. But Diggs wasn't 2020 statistical Diggs where he led the league in receiving yards and receptions. That I mean, what we paid Diggs in contract, he was top 5 in this position when we paid him. I don't know if Diggs truly honestly deserved that if we're talking about the value of what he probably should have gotten, but we did it based off of projection and what he can do to uplift our quarterback. James Cook and his team could argue that. They could try to make an argument for it and say, wait a minute, you paid a guy in the past big time money based off of projection. If you don't believe that if you don't believe that my projection is not going to go high, I mean, I got the numbers and analytics to back it up. We have the offensive line in place. I've had 2 1,000-yard seasons. I just led, I had 16 rushing touchdowns last time. And not to mention, you didn't give me a lot of carries. You didn't make me a 3-down back that I know that I'm capable of. You didn't use me. You still haven't really utilized me all that well in the receiving game all that much, because trust me, based off of my film, you can line me up in the slot. You can line me up wide. How many times did you truly utilize me as an actual weapon for this team? The playoff games, James Cook was arguably the second best player on that entire playoff run. That Chiefs game should have got the ball more. No excuse why he never got the ball as much. He was one of the most impactful players for that playoff run. So James Cook and his team, they thought this thing through. They know exactly what they're getting themselves into. They believe that the value that their value is top 3 based on the fact that they believe that he's going to be a top 5 back. Whether it's next year or whether the next coming years, they think he can get to that sort of place. Now, Brandon Beane, team-friendly contract guy, like he's just not going to do it. We gave, Christian Bedford had the biggest argument that he should have got overpaid. The biggest argument.
Considering some of the contracts that were given out for other corners? Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. Every advanced analytical stat points to Christian Bedford being a top 5 corner. And instead, we find out that he was one of the easiest players to get the contract done. Him and his team, it was easy. So if Christian Bedford and Terrell Bernard, the fact that there's like 2 or 3 players, I know the Jets, one of the Jets linebackers, he got paid, I think, 3 or double the amount of money that Bernard got. We're not giving James Cook the contract that he thinks he wants. We have to try to figure out a way to kind of meet in the middle somewhere, and that's the difficult part. Brandon Beane is having a difficult time negotiating with Cook and his team. They're not willing to play low ball. James Cook's playing a position that takes a lot of brutal punishment. He knows that. He's trying to capitalize on as much total guaranteed money and yearly money as possible, and they just can't seem to kind of come. They can't try to come to common ground. And so,
Jared. One thing that I've said on this show, basically from the beginning, since Whittle and I started, I will never begrudge a player for trying to get his, especially in this sport that it doesn't have those guarantees. There's a reason that Jerry Glanville said NFL means not for long, right? It's not a knock against the player. It's just the way it is, right? And a couple things I want to ask you about Cook. You brought up an interesting point that Cook thinks he could be a 3-down back, but the Bills do not have not played him like that. So, and you said like how you may have to pay for what he could be. We did a little bit of that with Ed Oliver. Remember when Ed Oliver's contract hit and
Yep,
we did our space and everybody was a little bit, oh man, goodness, I can't believe we paid Ed Oliver this much money
that's a good point.
for that contract. So Bean kind of looked it forward, said, okay, now you look at Ed's contract. It's pretty fair.
Pretty fair.
It's pretty fair. Now, this guy too, Steve brought up this point too about the Kyron Williams contract. You look at Kyron Williams and his numbers, but he's more of a three down back than
Yes.
Cook
Yeah.
is, would you say? Now, I
Mhm.
want to ask you, do you think James Cook could be a very effective three down back? Does he have the tools to do that for what the Bills are trying to do? I mean, I guess that's my point is, does he have a point? Are they not giving him the opportunity, or you think he is what he is at this point in that case?
If you're going to use him as a three down back, you got to use him as a receiving option. You
Mhm.
have to use him as a receiving option, which means that you're going to have to. I mean, Georgia did the exact same situation where they just put him in the slot, or they just lined him out wide on certain occasions.
Mhm.
They motioned him out, and they would use him in some of those third down situations. But he was a rotational back at Georgia, right? He was primarily primarily a third down back, but he wasn't a three down guy. With the Buffalo Bills here, we did use him a lot in earlier, like really earlier on during Josh's career on third down situations. The Dolphins game notoriously was where we had him in a lot of third down situations where he just ran Texas routes.
Mhm.
We used him on wheel routes. We use them on short intermediate routes on third down to for yards after the catch.
Yep.
But James Cook had a drop issue, and so when James Cook had that drop issue, we started to utilize him a lot less. Obviously, I think he's fixed that problem, and obviously, we saw last year when you use him as a receiver, he can be he is a lethal weapon. Because his route running ability is top notch. I think it's top notch among running backs so far, but can't pass block. And when you have Ty Johnson and you have Ray Davis, two guys, I mean, Ty Johnson's one of the best receiving backs, one of the best utility backs in the league, and Ray Davis is a solid rotational running back as well, who we also see can make plays in the receiving game. When you have two guys like that, what's the point of really utilizing James Cook to that full extent of level when he can't pass block? Ray Davis,
Yep.
I mean, Ray Davis isn't really a good pass blocker either, but that's Ty Johnson's strength. Ty Johnson is really a guy that you can trust on third down situations, can make players miss.
Yep.
You can utilize him out of the backfield. You can use him primarily as a receiver, and he's going to come through and make plays. And he's young.
Mhm.
Well, he's not that young. He's about to be 28, 29 years of age. So he's not that young, but
Yep.
still, he's good
Yeah.
enough. So
Absolutely.
that's the problem that James Cook is dealing with. Kyron Williams doesn't have to have that problem. Blake Corum was still recovering from an ACL injury from Michigan, so he wasn't at 100%.
Yep.
And then there's just no other competition. Kyron Williams coming out on Notre Dame was one of the best but not the best pass blocking running back in college football. So those skills were easily able to translate to the Rams. It's been no issue at all. And that's why he's a three down back. Is he a more talented back than Cook? No. Cook is a better, more talented running back than Kyron, but Kyron's a more complete back. Why? Because you can utilize him in passing situations, which he was already good at Notre Dame. He's a tough runner in between the tackles, and he can pass block. So he is a three down back guy that you rarely take him off the field. And so that, and even then, guess what? $11 million, $23 million, per year, $23 million guaranteed. And that's something that's going to work against Cook.
Yep. And do you think one more question before we take a break, and then we're going to pivot into some other topics. But do we think this contract's going to get done? So Tina, well, as always, welcome, Tina. I want to ask you, what do you think? Do you think and what's your absolute high number? Like if I had to tell you, Derek, 13.5, ship it, it gets done. Do you think, would you do that if you were Brandon Bean? Like what's your threshold that you would sign James Cook for?
I would say 12 is my max. Like I'll go
your max?
I would go 12 and then I'll lower the guarantee. Like if we do $13 million, then guess what? The guarantee money is gonna have to get lowered. Like I cannot make you a full guarantee of that sort of money that you want. You're getting one or the other. Now we could meet in the middle. We can go for 10, 11. We could go give you a $10 or $11 million contract, and we can get that we can get you that similar contract. We may even up your guaranteed money to $24 million, maybe even $25 million. I may be even generous. Like, you know what? Christmas comes early. You get $26 million guaranteed. I may be that generous. But if we can't,
maybe more guarantees, but then James knows he's getting it and it's a
right.
shorter deal. Yep. Tina's on 12 as well. I'm about the same boat, 12, 12 and a half. Because the other thing you got to think about, Whittle and I spoke about this a lot. You got to think about Osiris Torrance. You got to think about Connor McGovern. We got some other things coming up here. And are we willing to risk losing Torrance?
You got to think about
Or and Oliver
yep.
too. Yep. And we still don't know what TJ Sanders is going to be yet. We'll have to get into that. But yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. I'm not so sure. I think they will sign him, but I'm not. I was way more confident a month ago than I am right now. But the fact that he's still at the facility, he's still on the bike. If it was really bad, I would imagine he wouldn't even be there. Would you agree with that statement? Like if it was just at a very bad impasse,
Beyond
I think they're close.
This is something. No, you're fine. I said this a while ago. I still feel this way. I would let him test the trade market. I would let him test it. I would let him test it, and I would not saying I would trade him away, but I'm letting him test those waters out. I wish we would have done this before the draft, but I would have let him test those waters out. I need to let him see if teams are willing to value him at the number that he wants. Because that's gonna give the Buffalo Bills a lot of leverage. If no teams are willing to come to that number and say, okay, you know what, we don't like 13 million for you. We don't like 14 or 15 million for you. What's he gonna do? If no teams want to give him that sort of money, and then what are you gonna do? You have nothing to do. You get that now. The Bills have a lot more of that leverage. So that's what I would personally do. I would let him test out the waters, see if any team is willing to. That are willing to kind of give up that 13, 14, 15 million dollars without, of course, teams will offer a trade. Are they guaranteed willing to sign him to that contract? I would just let him test the waters out, see if that works. And if not, then guess what? You're giving Brandon Beane the leverage again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It's going to be very interesting day by day here. It could be a situation where we wake up tomorrow morning and we see a tweet that James Cook has signed with the Buffalo Bills. So or it carries on. So I'm still in that camp, but like you said, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see how it all plays out. But real quick, Jarek, the Bills fans here, we got to pay the bills real quick, folks. So we're going to take a real quick, about halfway through. We're going to come back. We're going to get into our injuries really quickly, Jarek, and then we're going to start pivoting to our game this week. We have a game Saturday.
Yes, we do.
It is preseason, but we're going to get into that, and we'll talk about some of the players we got our eyes on. So quick word from our friendly sponsors.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Whittle spoke about it. Man, Fat Boy Surf Club. What a great name, by the way. Me being a big guy, I live in California. I got to use Fat Boy Surf Club if I ever get out there. But anyway, I digress. So let's get into part two. And again, we want to welcome Jarek. Thanks for coming on tonight. You've been awesome. We've had you on before. We look forward to many more as we keep getting more into our season. So let's talk some injuries because we have a lot. There's a lot going on for various reasons, and we'll just quickly go through some of the names. How about the good news to start? Spencer Brown back at practice today. So that was great to see. Very important. We know what he meant to the Bills last year. It's good to see him in good spirits in terms of that. So hopefully, I'm sure the Bills they're kind of known for taking their time in terms of injuries. I think is always the right play. We got to play the long game. We're not trying to impress people in September. We're trying to dominate November, December, and beyond. So I'm good with that. But I guess I'm going to ask you in terms of level of concern. Obviously, Khalil Shakir, the high ankle sprain, that's going to be problematic. I don't think we'll see him to at least Baltimore. Hairston the same with the LCL. Palmer and Samuel with hamstring and groin and hamstring issues. both. So looks like they're about to come back. Tyler Bass has a pelvis issue. Van Granger, Shaq Thompson has a injury concern. We could bring up some others, but do you have any real concerns? Looks like also Terrell Bernard may have been limited on August 3rd, but looks like he's coming back as well.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a major? I'm going to ask you this: do you think the Bills are just very, very careful with these guys, and they say, "Hey, any particular issue at all, we're just going to sit you out this time of year"? Or do you think there's a level of concern you have, or any players that you look at and say, "Hey, I'm really worried about that injury going forward"?
It's both. I ain't gonna lie to you. I do have my concerns. I'm like, man, why is this happening to us again with the injuries? Now, thankfully, it's literally the beginning of training camp, so this is not something. So this is not something that's happening towards that end. This is. Oh, sorry. What?
It's okay.
Sorry about that. That's my girl. She's the
It's all good. I get that too. My wife sometimes will pop in the back once in a while. So it's all good.
It is what it is. But it is concerning. Like it is a little concerning. Definitely when we talk about some of these injuries, it's like, man, why is it happening to us over and over again? But like I said before, man, it's early. I do think that there is some sort of precaution. Again, you don't want to try to, we did fire our strength and conditioning coach. We did fire some of our nutritionists. So I think we're just trying to take this thing step by step. For the most part, again, I don't think we have to rush these players trying to get back. Ray Davis got a little nicked up today. I mean, he got back into practice, but was limited after that. Like, what I'm saying? Like, we're not trying to rush these guys. But like I said, on the other hand, Curtis Samuel, again, with the hamstring issue, that's been bothering him his entire career. At some point, that's a $10 million per year investment that it's like, what in the hell is going on? Then you have, Josh Palmer. We just invested a lot. Again, that's another $10-11 million per year investment dealing with injuries that we talked with Charger friends before. They've said the exact same thing. He's dealt with injury issues in the past before. Now he's dealing with some of these hamstrings, especially the hamstring. That's now happening with him. That's supposed to be a table weapon for Josh Allen. Hence why, guys like Tyrell Shavers and KJ like these guys have to practice. So it is a little concerning because because these are key players. I know Whittle brought up the stat last time about the fact that there was a report that we're actually on pace in terms of the amount of injuries that we've already suffered through camp. I don't know if we've suffered this amount of key injuries. Like I'd like, of course, starters get hurt, but key players are going down. That's a little concerning. But at the same time, though, man, it is the NFL. Players, I mean, for the most part, there's the saying goes, everyone is hurt. Everyone at the beginning of the season, everyone during camp, preseason, or even at the end of the season, everyone has like some sort of undisclosed injury, or everyone's getting surgery. So it shouldn't be too surprising that we're seeing all this. Not everyone, unfortunately, guys, not everyone is going to be at 100%. Well, pretty much, I would say the majority of the roster is not going to be at 100%. It's going to get physical out there. Not to mention, too, we've dealt with a heat wave. It's, my God, it's like one of the hottest training camps I think I've ever seen.
It's brutal out in the East right now.
It's insane.
I've been hearing it. Yeah.
It's been literally 90 degrees. It's been hot and humid. So obviously it's a lot of unusual things going on. But at the end of the day, no significant, we could go through a lot worse. A lot more teams are suffering more significant injuries where, players are, going out for the season. So as much as I am a little concerned, at the same time, we just got to, remain humble. It could be way, way worse. And thankfully, that's not the case, man. So hopefully, just rest these players. And hopefully, we can get ready to roll into the season with a lot of us still have a chance to come back.
Well, Jarek, with all the depth that we added in the draft, and I know
that's going to matter.
We've talked a lot about that. This is where Brandon Beane's work is hopefully really going to pay off this year. Where if with Khalil Shakir being out, let's say he's out the first couple weeks, right? Let's say it lingers. If we have our other 4 wide receivers on the field, I'm pretty confident that we could get it done with Elijah Moore, with Josh Palmer, with Keon Coleman. Like we could get it done with, and even Curtis Samuel, and whoever it is. I feel like we're okay if we have one guy down. Obviously, when you start getting to 2 and 3, I don't care what unit that is, you're hurt. I don't care what team you are. Nobody's got 4 or 5 deep that are, oh, no problem. We're down to our 4th wide receiver. We're good. So that's not the case. But I feel like, hey, if we have like Joey Bosa, he's another guy that we signed. I mean, my buddy's a Charger fan, and as soon as we signed him, he sent me a text. He said, "Good luck. Keep your IR spots open." I said, "Okay," but he's kind of joking. But I said, "But listen," he said, "Listen, if he's healthy, it's a great move, right? But we got it. But we know we have the depth now that we can withstand that injury. So hopefully, we'll get these guys right." And yeah, I agree with Tina too. She feels that way too. I'd rather get them out now. And even with the hamstring injuries, this cap is overwhelming. Hamstring injuries are very common too. And again, maybe they're just being very cautious this day and age. With the price, how much we pay these players now, all the teams, right? Maybe they're just overcautious. Maybe just the training and the identifying these injuries are getting a little bit better, right? And remember, in the old days, players used to hide those injuries all the time
Yeah.
because it's different now. The game has changed, so I think we're just seeing it more than before. So I'm good with I'm good with putting the whole team in a bubble till September, the opening game. To be honest with you, but we'll get into our preseason game this Saturday. So hopefully we'll have a clean slate. And so we got a game this Saturday. Was that 1 o'clock start against the Giants this week?
Yeah, yep, 1 o'clock, I believe. 1
I
o'clock.
believe that was that an NFL Network game. That was the one thing I was thinking about. Uh, is that game on the NFL Network this week? If anybody's in the chat can let us know. I was curious if that was on TV for us outside the Buffalo market. If it is, so we'll see if that is. I believe it might be. So it looks like it may be on NFL Plus. So, but we'll see if we can verify that. But we're gonna have so one question I wanted to get into about this week. We'll pivot to the Giants game, and then we'll get into some more topics that I want to bring up as well. And we're rolling along. Already 40 minutes in. Feels like we just started 5 minutes ago. So yeah, so we're definitely doing that. So what players are we looking at? Would you say, listen, Josh Allen may go out there for a quick warm-up, throw a few passes, and he's done. I mean, that's one thing. Do you think Josh Allen's going to play? But what players or positions do we have our eye on in this preseason game? And there's certain areas that you would be looking at, if we're watching a game, second, third, fourth quarter, in terms of camp battles, in terms of things like that. Like, what would you, if you had to identify even one or two or anything like that, who would you say at this point?
We got to go with Whittle's guy, Deion Walker. We got to go with Mr.
Yes, yes.
That's the one guy. That's the one guy I'm really looking forward to. I'm excited to see what he's doing. Athletic freak, 6'7", 350 pounds. No one's supposed to move like the way that dude moves. He's more, and he's a finesse guy. He's not really. I mean, he's got power. He's got a lot of power, but he's really, he's more of a finesse guy. And so I'm excited to see what he can do because again, 2023, if he would have came out that year, he would have been arguably a top 10, top 15 guy. Unfortunate, again, he came back, decided to kind of gamble on himself, suffered a back injury that he did during the offseason, and he just never really recovered from it. I mean, again, when you're playing almost with a fractured back for the entire season, it kind of delayed it. And so he went from a first-round guy to a fourth-round guy. And he still is a little raw too. So again, those sort of injuries, it sucks, right? It sucks for it. But for what we've heard, he's close to what, if he's not 100% already, he's close to being 100%. In terms of the athletic ability, it's all there. There's so, and again, you guys know, just check the clips out. Check the clips out.
Yep.
Guy moves like a cat.
He does.
Technique wise, he still needs, again, I still think he needs, some refinement within his game. I'm patient with Deion Walker. Again, I believe that this kid is going to be a stud. I think that this guy could be the next big thing. I'm giving him at least a couple years.
Yeah.
I've been working with our new our new defensive line coach. That's really, really going to help because we have one of the best, pass rushing technicians from a coaching standpoint that we've gotten, and which I honestly feel like has been kind of a weak point for this team since McDermott has been here. So, you have Joey Bosa, who a lot of the young guys who are learning from. AJ Vanessa, he's talked about it before. How he feels like he's gotten a lot better when under the tutelage of Von Miller and now Joey Bosa, and just getting their knowledge there, and so a lot of the young guys have kind of gone under Joey Bosa, and just I know Ed Oliver's the vet. A lot of people are learning from him. I'm just excited. So Deion Walker's that one dude I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, like in the second quarter, if not maybe the third quarter, he's gonna have his rough patches. A lot of people, I could see them being impatient, especially during the season goes. I'm not even really expecting him to be heavily used in the rotation a lot, but yeah. I am very, very interested in seeing where is he lined up, because he can play 5, he can play 4-eye, he can play 3, he can play 1. I mean, there were times when they had him at 7. I mean, the guy has a unique blend of versatility when it comes to playing so many different defensive line variations. It's crazy. So I'm looking forward to him. TJ Sanders is another name I'm looking forward to, because they've been talking about him playing at one tech as a guy that can stop the run, not as a pass rusher, but as a run defender. And he's a very athletic. When I watch him, I don't know if I can see him as a 2-gapper at the next level. He definitely can penetrate, though. I mean, he's definitely a gap penetrator for sure. Very, very quick, very, very explosive. Way better technician. I think people kind of give him credit for. Extremely, extremely intelligent. If we're talking about the ability to process at a high level compared to what I see at college. He's been getting a lot of high praise here since Buffalo too. So Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, those are the guys. Obviously, you got Dorian Strong, who's been getting a lot of noise. I mean, Alex Brask talked about how, man, this guy could be the next Christian Benford from what we've heard. This is a steal. So pretty much the entire rookie class. Though I would say those 3 guys, Jordan Hancock, I'm excited. I've never been this excited to watch a preseason game just to see, because this is it. This class is going to be the class that defines the Buffalo Bills within the next 2 to 3 years, because our defense we've been weak on defense, losing valuable defensive linemen through age and through free agency. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, which we still haven't recovered from. We need these guys, and so I'm excited to see what these guys can do.
Absolutely. And and listen, for anybody that knows Jarek at our spaces, and I've heard you Whittle talk the draft, I know why you're real excited about this draft class coming in. So we spoke at detail about the players we've taken. As far as myself, for a couple guys that I'm looking forward to seeing, you hit on so many great ones. There's one under the radar guy that I'm interested to watch, and Pete Prisco, who works with the NFL, I think CBS Sportsline, he went to Bills camp. He had a lot of great things to say about the Bills, by the way. And this is a guy that I've known. He doesn't just give out compliments to Bills. He used to be really rough on the Bills in the Ralph Wilson era. He was pretty rough on him, and for briefly so. So what I mean is, he's not just I like the Bills, I'm just going to give him flowers. The one name he brought up that was interesting was Javon Solomon. And Javon Solomon's a guy that probably will get a little more time, as Michael Hoyt and Ogunjobi are going to have their 6-game suspension. This is an opportunity for him to kind of put himself in that mix a little bit more, maybe get some more playing time. I'm curious to see how he looks this year. I was real excited about that pick when we took him, about his potential. So I'd really like to see what Javon can do from that. Of course, he's the guy we took from Troy. Was that last year, right? We took him in last year's draft, I believe. And so I'm really interested to see, what Javon Solomon can do. And my guy, this is my, everybody's got a training camp crush, right? I mean, this is my guy right here. It's Tyrell Shavers, ladies and gentlemen. This is every year. I love Tyrell Shavers. I would love to see him. I don't know about the Curtis Samuel comment. There's always a surprise cut. I don't know how it would work with.
I don't know if we will cut him. We'll probably trade him.
I don't think so either. Yeah, maybe they trade him. But there's always that one guy, and we're that kind of team this year where we could get that surprise cut. We're going to get to that especially more. That's a great comment. Solomon reminds me a little bit of Jerry Hughes. That's a good compare. Listen, at a high end, that would be incredible if we find, a Jerry Hughes type. But I'm just intrigued what he could do. But this is a major opportunity for some of these younger guys, like a Shavers, like a Solomon, with these players being out. It's go time for them. So those are the couple of players I'm really looking forward to. And of course, the safeties. Cole Bishop, is he going to play? I'm not sure if he's going to play this week. Do you think they put him in this week, or do you think he kind of sits out because he's still coming back from injury, right? If I
Yeah,
remember
I
correctly.
think they're going to be pretty cautious with him. I
Yeah,
don't know if he plays at all during the preseason, to be honest with you. I think, but you know what?
yeah.
I think this is an opportunity. I think this is an opportunity for some of
Hmm.
these young guys. I have not heard anything at all about Forrest, which is weird, but I haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
him.
that's true. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Jordan Hancock, though, but yeah, Jordan Hancock, who's been running with the ones. He's been running
Hmm.
with the ones on some certain occasions. He's so again, Babbitt just talked about how this kid's still a rookie, but in terms of the physical intangibles, work ethic, he's got it all. And so I'm
Wow.
excited. I'm excited to see what Jordan Hancock can do. You talked about Solomon before. There were some reports about the exotic looks. We talked about the spaces about
Hmm.
what why we have to start showing more exotic looks within the defense, because Michael Hoyt, you just can't play him at one or two positions. He's a 3 to 4
Yeah.
position player. Javon Solomon and Michael Hoyt, when they're on the same field together, they're both lined up, stand up on the
Hmm.
at the A gap. One's blitzing, one is dropping back in the coverage. The next play, one's stunning on the A gap to stand up. The other one is dropping back again in the flats. That quickly, crazy. So we are, so we're getting into that. I think we're starting. I'm excited to see Javon Solomon, because he is a player that can play 5. He's a player that you can push him out even wider, especially they have him as at a wide 9 spot. And he's a stockier guy, because when I first saw him, I thought, okay, this is like a 6'1", 270-pound guy. Like, no, he's 250. They got it, but he's the one criticism about Solomon is that strength. Play strength wasn't that strong because he's got bend, just didn't really have play strength. Well, they buffed him up. They got him in the weight rooms a lot stronger, and so I'm excited. So yeah, just like you, Beyond, I'm very excited to see what Javon Solomon can do, because I'm never upset about rotational depth, especially at a position that we are notoriously known for disappearing in the playoffs. So Javon Solomon, Landon Jackson's, that's the name I forgot to bring up. Landon
Jackson, yeah, we forgot about Landon Jackson too.
Yeah, I'm excited about that entire edge rushing depth room. I am excited to see. And even though Michael Hoyt's not going to be gone for he's gone, they're going to play him a lot. That's my bet. They're going to play him a lot just to try to get him in football conditioning shape. Before he'll be in that 6-game suspension.
Absolutely, and we could have a real pleasant problem on our hands come after week 6, which I believe our bye week is right after that. So it's kind of perfect timing in terms of when Hoyt and Ogajobi, when they come off the 6-game suspension. What if we have such a log jam at defensive tackle, defensive end? Maybe Bean seeks a trade at that point. Maybe there's something. Again, we don't know about injuries and things like that, but the Bills could have a real pleasant problem on their hands come after you're right around week 7. So, and again, these are just unique opportunities, and we forget about the guy that couldn't remember his keys to his room in Hard Knocks, and that's Dwayne Carter, right? So he's another one that you probably were sleeping. You probably had a snooze at that point, but Dwayne Carter was trying to get his room, and this is the right key. He couldn't fit his room, but
was it a Jamal Adams moment?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So, but that's another guy. It's amazing just how much depth we have on this defensive line in terms of that. So, but I'm super excited to see that. Do you think Josh plays at all in this game, or do you think we maybe play him in the second in Chicago? Not even because it's a home game, he won't make an appearance for.
I wouldn't be surprised though. Because Josh, I think he's played week 1 every year. I could be wrong about that, but I think he's played every year of at least like a half. Not like an opening series, like a half. Like he's played a lot of football. Sometimes was good, sometimes was bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays at all. But just because we've lost so many good players offensively due to injuries, and some of these guys are going to be coming back, some of these guys are not. They may just decide to say, you know what, we're going to sit him down. Well, I think he'll play in a preseason game, but it may even not be until like week 2 or maybe even maybe week 2, since we have that scrimmage against the Chicago.
Hey, that Giants front 4, if they're all playing the first series, I don't know if I want to put Josh Allen in that situation. That front 4 could be nasty, by the way.
Especially against
No, that's a good point. Dan, we know there's no love lost between Brian Dable and Sean McDermott with that infamous handshake the last time they played. You just reminded me of that. So that's something else to look forward to. That's another thing. What's the embrace after the game with Sean McDermott and Brian Dable going to be like this year?
I've talked to Dable personally whenever he came to St. Francis, football clinics. Whenever you bring him up, he just rolls his eyes. I swear.
Wow.
You bring him up, he just rolls the eyes like, oh, like no, but not anymore. You know, you say like,
yeah.
This is just me assuming, right? It's just me assuming, but I'm just saying, you bring him up, he's that tone switches. All of a sudden,
yeah, it changes. Yeah, there's something there. Hey, listen, there are people. Yeah, listen, good people could have, a relationship go bad. Maybe they're falling. It is what it is, right? So. I mean, I still wish Brian Dable well. I don't have any ill will towards Brian. He did a lot of good work here with the Bills. So, I mean, he had a big play. He had a play in why we have Josh Allen where he is right now. This is another thing from your draft. Wish Bean took Dolak in round 7 instead of Prather.
Yeah,
and Dolak looking really good right now, from what I understand. But again, it's camp. But still, you're getting a lot of positive feedback on that. So we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to pivot to something you mentioned just before about our defensive end rotations coming up big in the big moments, right? I think this is becoming more of a pipe dream for the Bills when it first broke. The Micah Parsons trade request, right? Still out there, right? There's been no, Jerry Jones is saying I haven't talked to Parsons. He said he hasn't fielded any trade offers in that sense. We had a lot of fun with this in our spaces, but now that we've had a few days to decompress, we haven't seen any movement. If you were Brandon Beane, right, I give you the keys, right? We have best depth we've had in our line, maybe ever, and especially under the Brandon Beane era, right? Would you pull a trigger on a trade to get a Micah Parsons? Do you feel he would be that missing piece to be that true game wrecker? Because you mentioned DL Walker could become that, right? It's a risk. He could be. You don't want to trade him in the package to get a Micah Parsons, but would you, and what kind of package would you look at if you were going to do it?
Two first, James Cook, straight up. What do you?
Yeah,
you need a running back. We all know you need a running back, and I will give you 2 firsts, maybe 3.
Okay, so maybe. What if they say I got to have TJ Sanders in that trade?
Yep,
as well. You would still do it. Okay, so even though we like Sanders, we like and Cook and the 2 firsts, so you're in the camp of Parsons would be that game record that we would truly need to kind of be, and that's something. Listen, I love the players. I like the players we brought in, but I agree with you. I think our defense is. I think for the most part we're excellent. We're very well coached, as you know. We're very skilled, but when you get to the top of the top, when you play the best of the best, the rotations that we do, and right. Guys like Mahomes aren't fooled there. You need the game players. You need guys to make huge plays at the huge moments, right? And I just think so. And I know we've had injuries too, and that's been a part of it, no question. But I'm in the camp of you. If we could get a Micah Parsons and part with 2 first rounders, I know it's risky. I know it's going to come at a cost of some other players on this roster. If we did do that, but that's something I would strongly think about. But it sounds like to me Parsons it's probably a ploy to get a contract from Dallas. It may be something similar to what Myles Garrett did with the Browns, where he made that statement. Looks like he was going to go, and we were dreaming of Myles Garrett.
Promised him a Super Bowl. I'm like, yeah, come on, Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
let's cut out the shenanigans. They gave you money that you finally got.
Exactly. Yeah, Dallas is much closer to Super Bowl than Cleveland. That's not saying much. Mm-hmm. Dallas has their own issues. So, but I just wanted to get I was curious of your thought on Micah Parsons, how it tied into our, and then this is true too. Like we spoke about, we may imagine if we lose a lot of our interior line and then we have issues there. And then the protection, for Josh has a problem and we don't run the ball as well. There's a lot of things to think about, right? And that's why it's so tough being a general manager in this sport, in these cases. But I'm sure he's tempted. I'm sure in a private moment, he's a little tempted about this. And I don't blame him, right? And he comes back to what he said after the loss last year about they want more playmakers. He said, yeah, if a TJ Watt or something was available, heck yeah, I'd go for those guys. Mm-hmm. Right? So he was very adamant about that. So I see no reason why we wouldn't consider it, but I just was curious on your take on that.
Yeah, I'm pulling the trigger. It's not even
Pull the trigger.
Now, yeah, McGovern's gone. Torrance is gone. We all know. Well, Cook is definitely gone because he's going to be traded to the Cowboys if that situation was to happen. But yeah, you're not. The good thing about that trade is that a lot of your core players are still here.
Yes.
And so, you get that, and now I'm pairing that with Micah Parsons. Plus, I'm giving him the contract that he wants. I'm paying him what's his value, and $40 million. It's going to look like nothing compared to what some of these other players are going to be getting. They're going to be coming close to it. So I'm no question about Super Bowl window. People may compare to Vaughn, nowhere near close, nowhere near a Vaughn situation. No. Vaughn was 34 out of his prime. Micah's still in his prime, and he can play. Yep. He can play three different positions if we want him to. He can play as a 4-3 end. He can play as a 3-4 outside linebacker, or a person that's in a 2-point stance. He can play as an inside backer where you can rush him on the A gap. He is too he is too valuable. I'm surprised the Cowboys did not want to lock that contract up. He is so valuable, and I don't even think he's even reached his peak yet. Because remember at Penn State, Penn State, they didn't utilize him as an edge rusher. They utilized him as an inside rusher. They did not utilize him as an edge. So he still is getting better. And I'm just, if I'm Brandon, I would just call like, hey, we heard you having some problems, man. Like, are you what's going on? What's going on?
What's the story here?
I would call. I would make that call.
Got to at least make the call. That's my biggest thing, is that I want them to be on that potentially. And Micah Parsons, 26 years old. You don't see these kind of guys available at 26. You see him available at 30. You may see him at 31, right? And don't forget, at Penn State, he sat out the COVID year, so he's got lower mileage on those, that body in terms of, so he didn't play his full career at Penn State, so he had that extra year off. So he's a young 26 to me. I would definitely pull the trigger, but again, it's true. It's going to come at a price, but that's why we've drafted some of these interior linemen. Another guy, speaking of interior linemen, I guess another guy I wanted to circle back to. Another guy I'm interested to see how I'm drawing a blank right here. Having an older man moment, man. Don't get old, brother. All right. So the offensive lineman, I am interested to see this week is Taylor Grable. Grable, the offensive lineman, the guy, Tyler Grable, to see if he, and that speaks to our depth, and just to see how maybe he performs. Because I heard some good things about him early, but then I haven't heard much after that. But we'll see if he could bring anything to the table. And again, we'll have to see. We have a plethora of good options.
Yeah, we got a lot of depth. Yeah, we
certainly do.
One of those dudes, unfortunately, is gonna have to sit on the bench. For some reason, I feel like it's gonna be Garage. I like him a lot. I like Garage.
Yeah, I've always liked Garage too. Yes.
But Grable, I think Grable's kind of locked up that backup tackle role. I don't think he's not going to go anywhere. But then you got your Alex Anderson, you got your Van Mars, who are two guys that are banged up, two guys that are hurt. You got your Cedric Van Pan Grangers, who's hurt right now, and he's the backup center. And so we're gonna, we're a little thin in terms of depth wise. Again, I think our starters are fine. Spencer Brown just came back, but we're gonna have some guys that are gonna be battling. Your Chase Luntz. What is he going to look like? Fourth-round pick. He's fighting for a roster spot, and he is a Cromer tackle. He is your prototypical Cromer tackle, 6'7", light, 300 pounds, light on his feet. That dude could move. Really good pass blocker. Not very, very physical. So he's not the best run blocker in the world, but he's got all the physical tools to be really, really good within this offensive line, and so. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, man. But yeah, our offensive line, we got I think we have the best offensive line depth in the entire league, and I'm excited to see what the second and third group of guys can do.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Philly has the better high end guys, but in terms of depth, we are. It's amazing that we're even having this conversation, right? When you think back to this time last year and the uncertainty we had with some of our line. Going into the season, it's just, and we got to just give Aaron Cromer so much credit on that. And he's done a great job coaching those guys up. So I'm a little concerned about Tyler Bass and his issues too. So keep an eye on that going forward. he's dealing with an injury too, and he's been pretty shaky, this camp. But yeah, there's going to be some tremendous competition. You brought up a great name in Derek Forrest. I was real excited about that signing, but we'll have to see how that all pans out going forward. But these kind of weeks are big for those kind of players. I mean, in terms of the score, don't even care. Doesn't matter. It's more about players that you're looking at. You want to avoid as many injuries as humanly possible this week. And we'll see again. Maybe we'll see our guy Frank Gore Jr. This week as well. See if because he dazzled a little bit last preseason too. So we'll see if he continues to show that a little bit more in this preseason. But there's going to be a lot to look forward to. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And yep. Yeah. So we've gone through. We got the game this Saturday. Again, it is NFL Network. Did a little more digging. It looks like it's part of a triple header on the NFL Network that day. So it looks like it will be on, I guess, locally. It is locally on in New York. Phil Simms and Howard Cross are going to be on. I don't know if we're going to get the Buffalo feed or the New York feed.
Is that Kids
nationally?
Day?
What's that?
Is that Kids Day opening day? Kids Day? Or is that?
I believe so, yeah, because I know Whittle said that I think they're doing a tailgate where the kids are going to take over. I think that's an awesome idea, by the way. Yeah, I thought that's great. So I know he's talking about bringing his son up there, so hopefully that's still on for him. That should be a great time. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, he said he wants to extend that tradition to the kids as they get older so they can get into the process of the tailgating and the cooking and all that, because that's a big part of football. I mean, that's a big part of the experience of Buffalo. I mean, I've been going to games there since the late 80s. By the way, I grew up in a dark era too, just to show you my age. I grew up with Joe Ferguson at the end of his career and Joe Cribbs. I mean, I go way back, man. I mean, I go, when they were like in the mid 80s, when they were awful under Hank Bullough with 2-14 record, and Greg
Jim
Bell
Kelly
was their number one running back. Yeah. Jim Kelly was, he was
like,
burning us at that.
I'll just go and play in Trump's league and we'll just,
the dollar settlement of the USFL. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember I still have the Sports Illustrated with Jim Kelly at the front in a New Jersey General uniform. Still got it somewhere in my archives somewhere. And then because it was supposed to be him and Doug Flutie on the same team. But anyway. Well, yeah. So listen, Jack, we've got over an hour tonight. So we covered everything tonight. And I think we're going to call it a wrap for our show tonight. And again, our fearless leader, Whittle, will be back, I'm sure, in playoff form in August come next week. As we've heard him in the spaces this week. He's already on fire. So I'm looking forward to that. Jack, I want to thank you so much. Hey, you know what? Enemies mean you're doing something right too. And that's the thing I love about our spaces. It's we have great conversations. We get along really well. It's something that I treasure, and I'm really happy to have gotten to know you over the years and look forward to it further. Is there anything you want to let everybody know? Any listeners give you a follow? Anything that we can look at on YouTube for you coming up?
So if you guys want to follow me on YouTube, Gents Sports. For those who are unfamiliar with me from a Twitter standpoint, on my YouTube, I just do reactions for the most part. Nothing too fancy. Yep. No fancy equipment. I'm just literally just me myself, record my thoughts. And for the most part, do college football. I do Buffalo Bills stuff. I'm quiet on the spaces. On YouTube, I'm a crash out. I'm a crash.
Nice. Oh, I gotta listen then. I gotta get the alternate side of Jared.
I'm Kush. I'm that's pretty much what I am.
There you go.
On that side. You want to check me out on Gent Sports on YouTube. Not to mention too, I do some other collaborations with other sort of sporting content creators, mainly on the college football side of things.
Excellent.
We have a great community over there, man. But if you want to check me out there, or I even play. We have to plug the Bills Mafia space sometimes too, man. Sometimes that we kind of do it over there. So, but Jan76 on X.
Absolutely,
Obviously, Jan Sports on YouTube. Like I said again.
Yeah, I got you on there, and you have a follow for sure, and definitely give Jan Sports a follow, because for all you draft savants, because Whittle starts talking about the draft next year, probably in September, October. Right. So definitely give Jan Sports a follow, because to kind of get a leg up on that, especially as we go through the season, as we go into next year's draft. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Definitely want to get myself more verse, in terms of knowledge, getting myself ready for the upcoming drafts. Not that we're thinking about the 2026 draft yet, because we have a lot to accomplish in
I am.
2025. What's that?
That's
I
I
know
am.
you are. I know you are. I know the second that draft's over, you're already thinking about 2026.
I already got my list out, my mock drafts, everything listed.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. That's great. No, there's still listen. It's a great process, but if you are a draft junkie or really into it, definitely give Jan Sports a follow. So, want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great, and I look forward to having you on many times,
Mhm.
in the future, and I'm sure we will. And again, talking to you to spaces. Want to thank everyone in our chat today, lively as always, for this day. Remember, Bills Giants this week. Next week, episode 2 of Hard Knocks. Well, so we got plenty coming up. Camp, I believe the last day of camp is tomorrow, right? Is that correct? Up in Rochester?
Before the game, yeah, I believe so.
Before the game.
Mhm.
Yep, before the game. That goes fast, man. It's just like a snap of a finger, it's over. And then we're on to the Giants. And then next week we have a game at Chicago that we'll talk
Yep,
about.
we're at
So
Chicago
next,
scrimmage.
yep, we'll react to everything that happened this week. Yeah, and I agree. Very knowledgeable guest. Thank you very much. See that? You're great. Your fan base is growing by the minute
Appreciate
here.
it.
So thank you very much. And thank you to Joshua. You had some great comments tonight as well. So we'll review what happens with Giants Bills. We'll get into what we see. Hopefully, we don't have any more injuries to talk about, and then we'll set you up for Bills Chicago as we get into probably seeing a little bit more of the starters in that game in Soldier Field. So that's all I had for today. Just want to say go Bills, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you again. Take care.
Go Bills.
Ah.